Did you tell Monique what you did to your trainer this morning?
At the gym?
No.
What did you do?
One of my cycle teachers hurt his foot cycling. So he's in a boot, so he can't teach. So he walks around the class like a drill sergeant and looks at your screen and tries to, yeah, I know.
Oh, I don't like that.
He came up behind me. He came up behind me and put his hand on my back. I was like, who's that? Because, everyone's locked in. I have shoes that lock into the pedals. So
oh, wow.
So people aren't walking around, but he was walking behind me, checking everybody's numbers, making sure they're all working.
Checking out their numbers.
And so anyway, I had a better ride today because I was afraid. Every time he came near me, I was like...
So him checking the oil, does that make sure it's a smoother ride?
No, he was just making sure I was working. I don't wake up at 4:30 in the morning not to work. I've got news for him. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning to go to class. So I'm working.
I wake up at 4:30 to make my wife coffee.
That's nice.
All standby passengers, see me at the podium with your seat assignment.
Non-Rev Lounge is a travel and aviation podcast. Monique, Lara, and Tyler are three friends that work for a major airline as gate agent, flight attendant, and ramp worker. During this podcast, they will discuss using their flight benefits to travel the world, as well as talk about things that happen at work. They have guests on almost every week to share their travels and stories, leaving tips on the best places to travel or things to do. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Non-Rev Lounge. I'm Monique.
I'm Lara.
And I'm Tyler. We're back.
Okay, so last week we talked about how my concert-loving husband bought tickets to staying at the Red Rocks.
Yeah.
And one of our listeners, Marilyn, got in touch. She used nonrevloungepodcast@gmail.com and emailed us and said she would love to buy those tickets from me. So we sold her the tickets at price minus the fees, the service fees, and we gave her free shuttle tickets too from downtown Denver to Red Rocks and back. Because parking there is really hard.
Nice.
So, yeah, and she was so nice and so cute. Do you remember those little gifts she gave us, Monique?
Yeah.
You'd have to meet her.
Yeah, she was very sweet.
I told her the best part of those little gifts was a little card she made where she said, help, because she had little bags with treats in there and a little airplane. Remember the little airplane?
Mm-hmm.
Silver airplane. And then she had a little card that stamped and it said, help me celebrate, I got a seat. And she told me that's a stamp that she has. That
That's
had made.
cute.
It's cool. So thank you, Marilyn.
I didn't realize you were selling them because I saw the email and I was like, when you talked, I didn't realize, but it sounded like it worked out well for you. You said you were trying to get rid of London, and you getting rid of London is like getting rid of a whole week of work.
It is. It's like a whole week of work. So
It's actually a whole paycheck for me.
Well, yeah, but I mean, per like how much Lara makes
Oh,
per
you're
month.
saying, you mean just like how much of like an actual work week?
Yeah. Oh, for us, it's like a whole quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fifth of my paycheck. So, and I didn't have anywhere else to pick up. If I had somewhere else to pick up, it would have been different. But then you put that on top of the cost of a hotel, and then Dave had to take 2 days off. It was just didn't work out. And it worked out great for her. And she says, I asked 4 people and they said no. I go, just go to work tomorrow and tell everybody, and someone will buy the other ticket. And I also told her she could go on AXS. That's where we bought our tickets from, AXS. And they have a resale page on there. And so I told her you could make money on that one ticket.
So, but you said that you've already been to Red Rocks before, right?
I was, I've been there, Dave and I.
Monique, have you been to Red Rocks?
No, I've heard about it, but I've never been.
I think it's a pretty famous place, right?
Yeah, and it is kind
Colorado.
of spiritual and kind of like,
Is it kind of like USANA?
So tell us about
Utah?
it. I think it's cooler.
Sorry, that was supposed to be a joke.
it's pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
It is pretty cool.
It's not just like out in the West Valley and it's dirty, or not dirty, but it's hot. So it's just kind of. But so what's so cool about it? Because we've never been. So tell us about Red Rocks and people that have been.
Okay, it's nestled like in this little basin. It's like a natural amphitheater out of rock. So it was just, God came in there and said, oh, I think I'll run an amphitheater here. I went.
He was like, I just want to rock, is what he said.
And then they put seats in there. They're bench seats, though. It's bench seating. It's not like the most comfortable, but you're nestled in this little basin, and there's high red rocks, and they have lights on them. It's at night, so it's very spiritual. It makes you feel like, that's pretty cool. And that sound is amazing because a natural light theater. It was really good. They also have 2 screens on each side so that because there are so many people there, it's a huge venue that there's so many people there. They have screens so that you can see the performers up close. It was neat. They have
like as many seats as like a NBA stadium,
probably.
or like what do you? Okay.
And Dave and I have to tell you, we went to see a Led Zeppelin cover band that we kind of follow called Get the Lead Out. We went to see them there, and we get random drug tested. And I have to tell you, I was a little scared after leaving there because there's so much weed. I mean, you couldn't help but breathe it in. It was all over. People were just.
She's like, I'm trying not to, but
it was Colorado, yeah. And they have a restaurant in there, and Dave, he's so cute. He made reservations there, so we had a hamburger there, and it was just kind of fun because it's like in the back, but it's all earthy, crunchy, granola, kind of. We liked it. It was fun.
Would he play I'll Be Watching You, or is that not Sting? That's Police.
Oh, he'll play that. Yeah. We looked up the set list when we bought the tickets. Because I wanted to make sure, because he does have like, I think 1 or 2 albums out of his own out. And I said, I don't want to sit here and listen to music I don't know. But he does play that.
Well, do you remember back in the day when I think it was like Columbia House used to send out those CDs? You had like subscriptions. My parents did that. And one of the very first CDs they ever got was Sting. And I remember being like,
yeah.
I remember being like, kind of annoyed because I think I was probably like 10 and I was like, Backstreet Boys CD. And they were like, no.
Mm-hmm.
But, and then we listened to it because it was one of our first CDs and I really liked it.
He's a great performer. I've got a little bit of buyer's remorse right now, just a little bit. Or seller's.
But you can go to another one of his.
Seller's remorse. Yeah, but that was nice.
He'll probably come to Phoenix.
That she wanted it. And she's never been to Red Rocks and she lives in Denver. So that's
cool.
It's good. Perfect. And she's seen a really good performer.
I'll be watching
nice.
you.
I'll be watching.
So how was your United interview or test?
My day as a United flight attendant?
Shadowing.
Yeah, I flew with 2 great girls that I really like. And we all talked about and laughed how we were, the only place at United we weren't going to was Newark. And when we got on the hotel shuttle bus to take us to the hotel, there was a United crew with us. And we said, hey, we feel like we're you. And we told them our routing that they said we went to Houston. We're going to San Francisco, and they were laughing. They were nice. They joined our conversation. We were talking about how to make refried beans because I'm making them for a flight. We're having the flight attendants over tonight for a card party.
And you get the can.
No, I actually made them from pinto beans. I actually made them the old-fashioned way, and I fried them in bacon, grease, and stuff. And so we were talking about that.
Wow.
Is the card party where all the flight attendants put their cards in the basket when they get there?
No.
The keys?
It's called Left, Right, Center. It's kind of a fun card game. We play with dollar bill.
Left, right, center.
So you flew on a 319 and a 320. Do you care which one?
I like the 319 better because it's less work, but because there's less passengers. But the 320, I mean, there's still just 3 of us. There's not 4 of us. Usually the crew's 4. But not on those aircraft. There's only 3. So
our 320s have exactly 150 people, which is 50 people per person, right? That's your limit.
That's the rule of thumb. So,
Monique, do you care which one when you're working? Can you tell a difference in the 319 or 320 upstairs?
Yeah, because I feel like the 19s still have almost the same bin space. I feel like, but less passengers. Where the 20, I feel like they fill up the fastest out of any of our aircraft. So
they do.
Oh, really?
So I feel like for us, we have to sit and like fight for bags more, and we're checking more bags up top, which isn't as fun.
On the 19 or the 20 or both?
On the 20.
On the 20, yeah.
The 19 still feel, just because on our aircrafts, they're not the nice new bins yet, but the 19s just still seem to hold more bags than the 20 does.
I don't know why, but you're right. I don't know why that's true.
Ever since I've started, we refer to the 319s as the baby bus, which I know there was even the 318, but we never had those. So, but that to us was, and we prefer, because we just know it's going to be fewer bags, fewer people, fewer bags. I'd actually either work if I'm in the bin, which I don't really hardly ever do, but a 319 or a 321, I'd rather do a 21 before a 20.
Oh, okay.
Just the way that where the bags are below, and it's just seems like it's more work on the 20 than a 21.
Oh. I feel like too in first class, the 20s from riding in there, unless you're in the bulkhead, they recline so much that you pretty much get, if you're in the second or third row, you get reclined into.
Even if you're in first class too?
Yes, they're first class. However, it's like arranged. the second and third row don't have like almost any leg room. So it's like they almost tried to throw that extra row in there, but they didn't really have that space for it, is what I feel like. Because even when I had to go to the bathroom once, we had to ask the person in front to sit up. So there was like room to get out because they reclined so far, I feel like, into. So that's it. I would prefer if I was going to do first class on the 20, that first row. When normally you wouldn't want the bulkhead.
Because of there's nowhere for your luggage, for your
Normally
backpack.
you don't like that, but yeah, at least no one's laying in your lap as you're flying.
Well, we had a really nice passenger get on, and he said he was sitting in the first row of main cabin on the aisle. And when he got on, he goes, "I got something for you girls." And then he kept walking. And next to Monica and I look at each other like, all right. But when we got to him, he had Starbucks cards for all of us, which was very nice.
Oh,
so we did our Houston tour, and we got back to Phoenix, and then we were on a 4.5-hour delay because our plane that we were taking to San Francisco was on a mechanical somewhere. I don't remember where. And by the time it got to Phoenix and we reloaded, it was 4.5 hours. So we sat in Phoenix for.
But you knew early in the morning you were going to be delayed.
I know.
Even before you left for Houston, you know.
And after 4 hours, you're entitled to a hotel. One of the girls said,
Ooh, they knew.
Yeah. And then I said, well, maybe I'll just go home. And the girl goes, well, you can go home if you want. She said, but I show that it's already left and it's in the air and it's going to land at 6:10. So our departure time was 7:20. It was 7:30 at night. And she goes, you can, but what if it gets in at 6:10? We can get that back out. I go, oh, you're right. So I stayed.
Had they posted?
How many hours can you?
They had already posted
1926.
Isn't that funny? And we left at 7.
Oh, really? They must have had everyone there.
They did.
When I walked by your gate at 7, they were all boarded, but the door was open because I had to go downstairs. I was like clocked in right at 7, and I was like, oh, they're still here. Because when I looked earlier, they moved on Google to like 6:50, and I was like, oh, maybe I can see you before you go. But
they moved to 6:50, and the two girls went on to the gate, and I ran into another flight attendant that I wanted to talk to. So then they texted me. They go, they just changed the departure time to 18:50, and I'm like, I had to run.
They don't change it very often. Once
the-
they've posted a certain time, they usually don't move it back up. That's pretty hard to do.
So for the flight attendants rules, I'm not sure if it's FAA or our airlines, but how many hours can you work a day, and what is counted of working? Is it actually in the air, or when you clock in early in the morning? Is it from that point? How do they?
Yeah, it's when you clock in, and I think it's
Okay.
15 hours now. It used to be 14 something, but now it's 15. I think with our new contract. So we were watching that.
So you have to be landed in San Francisco or in the hotel or in the what does 15
we have
mean?
we have to land. So for instance, that's why sometimes like if the London flight is so delayed, they have to recrew it because it's a 10-hour day, and if it goes over 4-hour delay, then they're gonna have to recrew it because none of us will be able to work that flight.
Okay. So they don't say because you get a break on the flight, you get that doesn't count as not
Rest.
work time. Okay.
But then there's that thing where we can voluntarily extend and go up to, I don't know what the number is, but you can go up in hours. You can voluntarily do that.
For more pay.
Yeah, but and I've done that voluntary before, but I've done that voluntary like in Kansas City where I wanted to get back to Phoenix. So I extended so we could go home. But then I got to the gate and all the passengers were clapping for us because the gate agent had said that the flight attendants voluntarily extended their time. They didn't have to. So and I'm like, well, we all want to get home.
Did you like that the gate agent made that announcement?
Yeah, I kind of did. Because, it told them then they weren't so angry when they got on board that we were that late. They weren't.
I'm going to tell every flight then that my crew extended. So everyone's nice to you guys. They're like, it's 6 in the morning.
One time I was in Chicago for a baton twirling thing, and it was a 5 a.m. departure for Chicago Phoenix, and they made an announcement that saying the flight attendant had overslept, and so they couldn't start boarding. So I walked up to the gate. I go, I'm a flight attendant. I can stand on board the plane, and you guys can start boarding then. So I went on board, and they started boarding, and so the plane was boarded by the time ready to go by the time she got there, and then she thanked me. But then I didn't get on the flight because it was so full.
Oh, they had to deplane you? That's funny.
Yeah, had to deplane me. We never got on. My daughter and I didn't get on.
You should have got a little extra.
You ever do that, Mike?
Go stand on board?
No, throw the flight attendants under the bus because I feel like that's not a good look for the airline,
to say a flight attendant.
even if
Mm.
it's true.
No, sometimes I'll just say we're waiting on a crew member is usually
Yeah,
the
that's fine.
verbiage that I'll say. Not that it's their fault or anyone. It's just that's what we're doing because I feel like they want to be informed and they know something's missing. But yeah, I don't think I've ever said that they overslept. I may
No,
have said
that's not.
that one's got sick and we need a recrew. I feel like I've said that
Yeah.
for something with either pilot or flight attendant, kind of letting them know that's what's happening there. Someone wasn't feeling well, had to leave. But yeah, I've never actually. Someone was lazy and didn't set their alarm. Someone's hungover. I've never said that.
So did you want to hear my story?
Yeah, they say yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay. So we went 100% full to Houston, but I do think we got a couple of non-revs on. And then we were in Houston and we're 100% full. I mean, we were minus like 3 plus 5 non-revs from Houston back to Phoenix. And we're very cognizant of non-revs that we want to get non-revs on. So I was in the middle of the airplane shifting luggage because that was my job, is to make sure the luggage is. So I'm in the middle and I see the gate agent walk on. We're almost finished. I thought we were finished boarding. I see her walk on and then she goes, "Is there someone in 24C?" And I go, "Well, let's go back and check." Because she was like at row 16. So she and I walk back there and this family is in the ABC seat and there is someone in 24C. And she leans over, the gate agent says, "Zahir," to her, to the lady. And the lady goes, "Saeed." And she goes, "Okay." And so we walk off together. You walk up to the front and she goes, "Okay, so she's on board." And she gets on the radio. She goes, "She's on board." And we get ready and we close the door and we start pushing back and we start taxiing out and we're getting ready for the demo. And because it's a 319, it's not automatic announcement. So my friend Monica has to make the announcement and I stand up front and then I walk. So I stand in front of first class and then after I do show everybody in first class how to do a seatbelt, then I walk in the main cabin and I do it again. So we're getting ready for that. And the girl in the back comes up and she goes, "Hey, I got an open seat." And so I look at my tablet and every seat is full. So I refresh my tablet. It still says every seat is full. And so I said, "Well, where's the seat?" She goes, "Back in 24. So she and I went back there and sure enough, there's an empty seat. And I said, "Well, this shouldn't be empty." And I said, "Who are we missing?" And so I said, "Is Alex here?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, my brother's here decided not to come. And then the 3 people across the way go, "Yeah, that's our brother's here. And he didn't come with us today." And I'm like, "Well, you should have said something to the gate agent." I said, "She asked you, are you Zahir?" She goes, "Well, I told her I'm Saeed." And I'm like, so I walk up front and we get on Teams and we're still not at departure time yet because we pushed her. And so I get on Teams, I go, "Hey, you're going to have a discrepancy with your manifest because Zahir is not here. Zahir is not here." And so we wait and wait. No answer on Teams. So then the other girl gets on Teams and says, "Hey, manifest is incorrect. Zahir is not here. 24C is Zahir. It's not here." No answer. So I look at the girl that's number 1. I said, "Hey, you got to call flight deck. You got to call the pilots and tell them that Zahir is not here because it shows." Am I right or wrong, Monique? That
Yeah,
That's
manifest
the
discrepancy, it really is important. Yeah.
okay, so yeah, and he goes, "Well, my count's fine up here." He says his count's fine. I'm like, "Tell him to call ops and tell them that Zahir in 24C is not here." And she goes, "Well, you need to call operations and tell them that 24C Zahir is not here." Then she and I both look at each other. We both go, and I think we were just kind of tired and we hadn't eaten yet. And we both go, "Zahir is not here." We start laughing. And so anyway,
Because it rhymes.
The pilot goes, "Okay, I'll call them." All mad, and then she starts the announcement and she's doing the announcement. And I look over at her like, "Let's here's here." Both start laughing. And she has to stop the announcement. In the last row, first class, they're all like looking like, what is going on?
happening?
We had the worst laughs. We're starting laughing. The girl that's mid cabin is turning around all annoyed and looking at us, and we're just tears, little tears. We're just laughing. And so finally we take off, and then during the flight, the guy in the last row, first class, I was up front. We were getting ready to do potty break. He comes out of the bathroom, and I said, "I just want to apologize because the safety demonstration is very serious. So I'm so sorry that we had a little levity today." And he goes, "Oh my gosh." He goes, I love it. He goes, the passengers love it. He goes, now you had all of our attention.
Because they're all, what's so funny? What's so funny? Yeah.
And we could hear you laughing. So he goes, I loved it. And they did love it. They were, when we went through, they were all like, what's so funny?
Zahir is not here.
Zahir's not here.
Did they get it fixed?
I'm hoping.
So explain to people that may not. So why is it important to have it correct?
Monique?
Well, if you're just looking at his reservation, depending on what kind of trip he actually has, if it's showing now used, he's going to have 0 credit to use on it. So if he tries to go and rebook on that ticket at some point, they're going to say, you already flown it. And he's like, but I wasn't on it. So there's going to be a discrepancy there. One, you could have got another non-rev in that seat then. I don't know if there were more people out standing by, but that's an open seat that could have been occupied. Weight and balance isn't quite as much because of, you have plus and minus 7 to kind of like go with, but you're still, like the fact that name, heaven forbid something now happens, his name is listed on that manifest as well as being wrong.
That was our concern. What if we had an emergency landing? They're going to be looking for Zahir. That was our concern. But
it would be a good alibi for him though, because you would say he was here and he was murdering someone.
Zahir was here. and the pilots, they were more concerned. So Monique's concern is that he won't have that coupon to use in his PNR. Our concern is something happens to the airplane. There's, it's going to say that Zahir was there and he's not. So if we had an emergency, if we had an evacuation, for example, we'd be short someone because Zahir was not there. And then the pilot's concern was my numbers are okay. So it's interesting.
And if it was international, it would be a lot bigger deal.
Correct, because internationally, we've already sent all the passengers' information to them. And so they're expecting XYZ to show up. And then if he doesn't, they're kind of going, where is it? Or in the opposite, let's say someone does get on board, but we don't scan him on. He now shows up internationally and they're like, you're not on our list. Like your airline didn't tell us you were coming. So internationally, it is even bigger.
Like the lady that's stuck on the Delta Paris flight. Remember that one? So all of a sudden she's just in Paris.
Yeah, not to mention bags associated with internationally as well. But yeah. It is a big deal. But that's why it's frustrating. I feel like you have to go down with boarding passes and check boarding passes because you can never trust passengers. We say you can't trust flight attendants, but you can't trust passengers either.
I was standing right there when she said Zahir to the lady, and the lady goes, Saeed. And then she goes, oh, okay. And I didn't question that.
My only thing is if it's supposed to be a completely full flight, she didn't look at all of 24 to see if there was a hole in 24 at all.
She did not, because 24 Echo was open.
See, that's where, bless her heart, but I'm just saying that would have been probably a key to me. I'm like, okay, most likely people slide into better seats. So if you're looking for an aisle or a window, but yet a middle's open, you're like, pretty sure someone slid into the better seat.
Self-upgrade.
Yeah. But also, if passengers would just tell us from the beginning, Zahir is not coming, you'd be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for letting us know 20 minutes ago.
Well, that's what I said to him. I go, why didn't you tell her when she came down and she asked for Zahir? She goes, well, I said Saeed. That's my name. And I said, well, you could have said Zahir's not coming.
But it worked out better for them because they didn't get punished for it. And they now have an open seat next to them, which is pretty good for them.
Well, you're right.
Right. So.
That poor non-rev who didn't get out for 3 days now, still stuck in Houston. So sad.
No, I know. I want to be. So we were flying Southwest the other night, and the 5 of us, which is great when you have kids because you get aboard early. And so I was trying to decide how do we, because I knew there was going to be seats open on the plane. So how can we try to make sure that we get one of those, that 6th seat to be empty? And so I was like, do we put the 3 kids in one so that side's done? And then me and my wife in the so the middle, because we're both a little bit bigger. So there's not, so as people are coming down, but then there's just like 3 random kids on the other side.
That's not a bad idea.
Or, I mean, how do we, I mean, this is only going to be for so long till they start assigning seats, but how do we manipulate that to keep people from wanting that seat? And luckily we did boys on one side, girls on the other. So, and no one took the middle. So Lola could lay down on the 2 seats because it was late, but Yeah, I was trying to think, how do we get this single seat to stay open? So, but it felt like people just kept getting on and getting on. I was like, oh, God. So,
When they get on so slow like that. Someone the other day on Teams has said, "What is this Noah's Ark? Everyone's coming on 2 by 2." It laughed so hard. And they had a little giraffe on there. They
That's
put the little
funny.
emoji. I'm like, who had thought for that?
Well, probably they were just
You know
sitting
when
up
you
there because they're
talk-
just standing in the jet bridge. They're like, I've got all day to write notes.
you know when you tell young kids about things from like old times,
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know, VHS tapes or something, and they're like, what is that? Do you think when our kids get older and we'll be like, do you remember when Southwest used to have open boarding? And they'll be like, what? Like an airline did that?
That's so
But
weird.
that's so normal to us. So we had that our whole life. Southwest has just been that way. But at some point, that's going to go away. So
Well, they're one that I've always wondered how they don't have more manifest discrepancies because of having that open
Yeah.
seating like that. Like you don't know just to go look at 24C. That I've always been so impressed that they don't just constantly have discrepancies on that.
well, another thing is like, so they used to take your ticket from you. As you would get on, they would take it, but now they just scan it. But so if you had to pull a non-rev off, like, could you just, when they go on, I go, Monique, you need to get off the plane and let us know where you're at. Yeah, could you just like not answer? Like, you're probably the last one to get on. So as a non-rev, but still, it's like they don't know who's who. It's just a plane full of.
I can see
So,
Momo doing
also
this,
the fact that
looking around going, who is that? Who is
Well, especially
that
if they were
person?"
like Monica, I'd be like, that's not my name. I don't know what you're talking about.
mm-mm. They're like, we're not going until this person that's who you are, so we can kick you
And you're
off.
like,
But-
Monica, get up.
and also, they don't know who the non-revs are because it's just, I mean, just free, everyone's on. So
Well, I'm not sure
I
they
feel
really
like
care.
even though it's not our,
Do you think they even care? Because
know,
I've
but-
been on there before as a non-rev going through different cities trying to get somewhere, and they don't really care.
no, they're good to everyone.
Mhm.
That's true.
Mhm.
But sometimes they know you're a non-rev, and so I may be like, oh, I'm based in Phoenix, and I mean, just a little bit more nice. Not like Airline, where it's give you a lot more nice. So
Well, our airline still didn't give me a free beverage the other day,
that's
even though they knew I was a non-rev because she literally pulled up her tablet and looked at it and then said, $10, please. And I was like, okay, here's my jackpack. It's not worth
but
it.
you said that she was new, right?
No, she was so old.
Oh, she was.
No, she was.
Oh, maybe Lara asked if she was new.
I think
I
Lara
asked if
asked
she-
because she was worried she was on probation, and I was like, no, this lady was very old, very, very old.
Lara, do you get a bonus for every time you upsell people?
No,
Okay, so it's not like she's going to get a cut of that.
we get a cut of the food that we sell, but not of the alcohol.
Okay.
Well, and this I was telling you guys before that was annoying is I had previously been sat in a seat that gets a free cocktail beverage, whatever, but I had chose to go sit back by my daughter. So I was like,
And-
I'm still like technically kind of entitled to it.
I would have said, hey, okay, but I was in main cabin extra, and then I moved back here to sit with my daughter.
Like, I don't know. I just think it's funny that,
You're so
I-
shy
what-
and nice, you wouldn't.
well, and the thing is, I said to we were all non-revs in that row. So it's not even like she had to play any kind of game of pretend in front of like paying passengers. Do you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I feel like they have to keep up this facade that like they're going to charge me, even if I am an employee. But it's like we're all employees, so let's just, just give it to me. Yeah,
Well,
just
I
say.
think you should have got a free drink.
I think she easily could have been like, "Oh, have a nice flight, Miss Crick," like or something like that, and I would have been like, "Yeah, thank you." Because also, paying passengers don't know if I'm not in like one of our status levels that gets a free beverage. I could be in a regular seat and have status and still get a drink. So anyway,
Exactly. I had a
Maybe she wanted to do the fake swipe. Don't they?
I
You'll
do
take the card
fake
and like
swipe all
fake
the time.
it.
so you still have them present a card?
Here you go.
well, if they hand me the card, I just go, there you go. Ding! Or I tap the side. I tap the side of the topper that's on top of the cart that holds the coffee and the cups and all that. I'll tap it on there. Or I'll tap it on the water bottle. I'll make it really funny. Probably tap it somewhere. Hand
But
it
that's
back.
I will say, but then I was flying somewhere else recently and I ordered a drink and he gave me a double out of nowhere. So, I mean, it is hit and miss. You just never,
Isn't that's so
never quite know.
frustrating. I had a D3 going to Houston and he ordered a coffee and I go, do you take cream and sugar? He goes, oh, yeah, anything. I take anything. I said, okay. So I said to the girl, give me a Bailey's. So I gave him a Bailey's. I only gave him one because it's a short flight.
Oh, that's still nice though.
No, I said, give me, and when I
What if
handed
he
it to him, he
what
was
if
like,
he was a Mormon though?
well, he poured it in. I watched him.
Okay.
He probably thought it was creamer.
So that's a little. We should be
Well,
ordering
if he was
coffee
drink-
then.
If he was drinking coffee, then he probably.
He
yeah,
probably
wasn't,
wasn't
but-
more.
Are you mad at James or are
Oh.
you happy for what he's accomplished?
I'm really happy for what he's accomplished. I still can't believe I didn't win the free tickets that he was giving out on Instagram. Because I
This is
entered
what you're
it.
talking about.
I
Well,
entered
I'm-
it 100 times.
I'm assuming this is the gentleman who didn't hire you to be his flight attendant training coordinator
Exactly.
person.
But I went back and I looked at my DMs with him and he hasn't answered any, not him, but global. They answered my very first DM, 2 years ago when I said, I'm going to Dorkfest. Can you send me some stuff? And they said, absolutely. We'd love that. And then we went back and forth and then they ended up, we're not ready yet. And so then last year I said, hey, I'm going. And then I got the sweatshirt. Then I got the sweatshirt from them. And then last year I said, I'm going and they didn't answer. They haven't answered me since I got the sweatshirt.
You bought a sweatshirt or they just sent it to you?
I bought it, but they gave me a link. They said, if you want something early, we have a link.
Oh, nice.
I like it.
Were you excited to see they had their first flight?
I did. And I watched it all over on Instagram. Yeah, and Tyler said he
Yeah.
hadn't seen anything. Somebody said in our aviation Av Geek group that they hadn't seen anything. I'm like, I don't know what you're looking at because my whole feed is full of it.
I didn't see it.
So our friend Craig that was on the show just before our Dallas meetup, so it's been a couple of years now. He had sent a picture that showed it was like 150 people booked on a 380. So
Doesn't
That's
it hold
it.
like
the
I
whole
just
like
made it.
500 people.
it holds like 500, doesn't it?
Three.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone got their own rows.
I know,
Mhm.
but they also had it catered with $40,000 or 40,000 pounds, pounds of worth of food and drink.
Oh, so the
That's
people
a
had to
lot.
be rolled off.
Yeah, because no, eat another entree. I wish I had gone, but I didn't want to pay for it.
I hope.
Where do you think it'll be in a year?
I think I'll still be
Next-
going.
May. You think so?
I do.
I hope we get Z agreements.
That's what I hope for.
Where do you think it'll be done? We're at in May. Do you think it'll be? Do you think it'll still be around, still growing?
Like in a
Doing
year
well.
from now, because we're in May now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So 1 year.
Oof. Well, if it's only booked to 150 right now,
It's our
that's
first flight. Look at our friend John Derrick from Alaska. He got on the inaugural flight to Narita.
The first
great
flight. The first
state
flight's
of
always the
Alaska.
bigger ones because it's the inaugural. It's the exciting one. Everyone wants to go on that one.
Well, we
know,
got on the
but he's
Idaho
not.
Falls inaugural flight, so
Barely.
just
I
saying.
worked the inaugural flight of the Neo, our very first Neo, and there were open seats on that.
So I think I don't. I hope it does well.
Guess who I saw yesterday in the airport as I was walking out?
Who?
Well, first of all, I want to tell Tyler that when I said goodbye to the girls, I said it was great flying with you, and we all talked about it. He said, it
Aw.
was great flying
Did
with
you
you.
mean it?
But we were walking down the terminal, the low A's, Monique, that Admirals Club
Yeah.
at the low A's. Okay, so the elevator doors open and Doug Parker walked out. And I'm like, but I just kept walking because, I was a horse going back to the barn. I didn't stop to talk.
Yeah.
I
Wait,
kind of
you
wanted to
saw
say,
him?
you should have told us you were going to be here so we could podcast.
Yeah. Does he have a lifetime membership, do you think? Or do you
I'm
think
sure.
he has to get a
Uh-huh.
credit card every year?
No, and he was with Gwen and he had a handler, like someone from the club. Like, concierge keys always have someone from the club with them.
Yeah, sometimes I wish I had a handler. They just show up with Swedish fish for me. I love that.
You have to handle yourself.
They have to have, were they, when I said they have to, they have jelly beans now that aren't bad.
I like when they had the Swedish fish. I like that type.
Yeah, that was a hit. That was great.
All right, so next question, because I need both of your expertise, because you guys have worked. We only have the one flight to Europe, but you guys have worked it year round. So, and this last week, I was talking to our friend Angie up in Salt Lake, and she wants to go to Europe next week. So,
Oh, good.
by the time this comes out, but she's like, I can't find seats to Europe, and so I was like, I'll look at our airline, look at all the options just to get her to Europe, and I can't find a single seat
What about Raleigh?
on any. Nope, nothing.
Really, out of
Not
Raleigh?
a single seat. Yeah, everything, and that's like Tuesday, Wednesday, not even like the weekends. It's the beginning of it before Memorial Day weekend, but it's still like I always considered summer June, July, June, July, August, but I think Europe picks up a little earlier because kids are out of school. As far as like once graduation hits, and the college is in, then kids go to Europe. Professors are off now, so I feel like so. If you were to tell people, suggest a good time to go, because you've seen loads, you've worked the flights both as a gate agent and a flight attendant. So, what are some of your suggestions for going and coming to Europe?
I feel like April was a good time to go. Before when I've worked it during April.
Okay.
I feel like because that was right before that big kind of summer rush, if I remember. And then in the fall was always a good time as well.
October.
So how far? All the way to October?
I would say even early November, because people, once you hit November, December, I feel, in my opinion, that people are waiting for the holidays. So they're not going to buy more tickets because they're waiting for the holidays. They spent their money on the holiday tickets. However, I remember when we were doing the 777, January and February, there were a lot of seats, open seats. January and February. Of course, who wants to go when it's super, super cold and it's inclement
so that's
weather?
the downside.
Yeah. But I do remember, and that's where that guy had his own row, he and his girlfriend, and they had their own
The soccer
row,
player.
and they did their own little show for the passenger that was across the way. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Non-rev lounge after dark?
Do you know
So
what
let's
is
just say
open right
someone-
now? South America. I was looking at like Buenos Aires and Santiago right now are pretty open, actually, both directions in business.
Their winter.
Because you're going into their winter right now. Yeah.
It is their winter.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're still not necessarily like winter because they're not like that far south. So anyway, it may be a little more rainy, but it's not necessarily terrible weather down there. But I mean, it's their off season for school and everything. Like they're in school down there right now.
So let's say someone wants to go to Europe in the summer, though. Let's get back to. I know that it's not great, but what have we seen that might be a good time? I can tell you what I've noticed, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. It right now is hard to get to Europe.
Mhm.
That's second half of May through June. It's hard, but you can usually come back fairly easy because people are trying to go to Europe.
Correct.
And then it switches.
Uh-huh.
Where I remember coming back from Amsterdam in August for my birthday, and it was everyone's coming back to school in the States, coming back to it. It's just like I got there super easy, but coming back was not super easy. Is that kind of so? Is there a good? It's like you just get there however you can get there, or is there? Maybe if you're going to go to Europe, go in beginning of May, so you're coming back. Middle of May, so you're kind of the opposite. What do you guys think?
Well, because I did that England trip with mom and dad at the 1st of August, and we had no issues going or coming back. Like we got first business going and coming back.
Oh, that's nice.
I'll come back too.
Maybe because everybody was
Yeah.
going, they were already back for school or something,
Yes.
What was it? Beginning of August, mid August, or late
It
August?
was beginning to mid. I think we started like the 7th through like the 17th, or it was something like that. Because it was almost like mom and dad got home and went right into work almost.
Okay, so mid August, we're on the train.
Well,
Because that's when mine was flying back on the 6th of August, and remember there's 50 non-rows trying to get out of Amsterdam. So that's what this summer, Katie's doing a girls trip to Amsterdam, Paris. So I think I may have mentioned, I already used miles to get her home. And we can cancel it later if it happens to be wide open, which it might be this year. But if it happens to be, then we'll cancel. But I just feel like, because I had such a hard time getting out and I was even like a through passenger, which with our airline really helps. So
I took my whole family to Italy mid-May. So there you go. Mid-May.
and you got there and back easy.
Yep. Because we
Okay.
went in the beginning of May and we spent 3 weeks in Italy. So we came back like the first week of June, and that's when everyone's heading over. And we got back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Smart.
So there you go. And
I think when I told Angie, I said, just get there however you can, and then you should be able to get back.
Yeah.
Just everyone's going, not as much coming. So
I am going, as you know, to Naples at the end of June, and I'll be back July 8th or 9th. But my girlfriend, Marilyn, is a flight attendant based out of Philly. And so she bid the Naples overnight on the 28th. And my cousin said, make sure you're there by the 29th because we have a car set up to drive us from Naples down to the Amalfi Coast. And so, I'm going over with Carolyn. And if I don't make it, I'll sit on the jump seat and I'm going to stay with her in her room and do the little overnight with her and her crew and stay in her room. And then the next day I'll be there. So that'll be fun. But see, not everyone has jump seat privileges.
True.
And the crew doesn't really want you on the jump seat for that long a flight either. But if she's working it and I'll know half of them, that's okay.
Well, and you'll just say, I'll just take a bunk.
Half of
Don't
the-
worry about it.
as long as you're the big spoon.
I like to be the big spoon.
Did you see that video I sent you?
About the spoon? Yes, I did.
It was Chris. Okay.
I love him.
You didn't send it to me?
Because we were kind of cuddling, and I said, "Say, hey Lara, I'm the big spoon," and so I recorded him and he said it, and I said because it was to Lara,
Okay.
because I know that she loves being the big spoon.
It's just,
I always
I have it. I can still stand
it's
it.
just so she could breathe on Dave's neck.
Hi, Dave. Yesterday, during my 4-hour sit, I was sitting in the briefing room and our new manager, Phoenix, director of Phoenix. She's the head of everything in flight and in Phoenix. Used to be my old manager, but now she got promoted, the big promotion. And she walked by with this nice gentleman that's in his uniform. So new, he was shiny, but he's like my age. And so anyway, so she goes, hey, it's his first time to London. Do you have a minute? Can you come back into my office and tell him about it? So I went into the office with him. I said, pull out your EFB, pull out your tablet. And we went through and I told him about service and stuff because it was his first time. And he was very nervous. And he was super cute because he's all shiny and he's only had 5 flights.
And he already got London?
Wow.
And he already got London. Uh-huh.
Holy
So
Moses.
then I told him about the bunk. I said, they'll try to tell you, oh, take the first break. Don't listen to them. Take the second break because that way when you land in London, you'll be all rested and ready to go. And don't talk on the bus and get $2 as a tip. And he's like,
So a lot of these airlines are putting out new like business class seats, new upgraded seats. And I know you guys go to retraining. How come they don't spend more time on service,
awesome.
training service? Because you said this new hire comes in and he doesn't know how to work the plane. Why isn't that part of for big airlines?
You just figure you're going to learn it when you're on the job. And just as a note, and I think you both will understand and enjoy this new procedure and policy starting yesterday. Remember how we used to have like 2 services from Phoenix to Philly? Because it was such a long flight, you'd have the first, and then an hour before we landed, we went out again with the beverage cart. Then remember they stopped that and
Yeah.
they said 1 service. Well, now it's back to 2 services. They went back to
Good.
2 services. And so to London, what we used to do is go out there with a beverage and an accompaniment, like pretzels or something, and give everybody a little cocktail before dinner. Then we clean up and then we'd come out with the dinner and another beverage. Because, it's a 10-hour flight. You want 2 drinks right off the bat, get settled. And then they took that away. So then we only went out. The first thing you got was your meal and then a beverage with it. And then everybody rang their call button because they wanted another drink. And technically, we don't come out again until an hour, or like 2 hours prior to arrival. So this is a very good change, and we're all very excited about it. So
Are we going to get service
Wait,
again
you-
from
you-
Phoenix to California? Because we haven't seen
I
that one in a
would-
long time.
I would hope so. I would
Woohoo!
hope that would mean
It's back.
Yeah.
Unless there's too much turbulence.
I feel like when you said we're all very excited, I feel like you're very excited, but
you're probably right.
I hope that your coworkers are too.
The
Probably right.
royalty
Well,
are
coming-
not excited.
Well, we had an hour and 43-minute flight from San Francisco to Phoenix yesterday. And we took off and we started service. And the girl and I were mid-cabin and the pilots came on. They said, hey, we're going to get some moderate. I'm going to have the flight attendants steal their cart. So we're like, I'm sorry. We're pushing back. And we sat down and, of course, moved. And after like 20, 25 minutes, the pilots came back on. They said, okay, we're sorry. They said it was, the ATC reported it was moderate. So we want to make sure our flight attendants are safe. But okay, they could resume service. So I was ready for her to say, you don't have time. She goes, let's go. We can hurry up and we can make it. We can finish it. And I was like, oh,
Aw.
this is, tell us an Miracle West crew. Everyone's like, let's go. And we got off and we were
Love
chatting
that.
it up with the mechanic. Yeah, and he goes, are you guys a Miracle West? I'm not like, he goes, I could tell. I said, because we're old. He said, no.
You can't see my paper clips or whatever you call them, chip clips.
Well, cool.
So she could
All
have
right.
said that. She could have said, no, we won't have enough time. We went right back out because we were 100% full, too, out of San Francisco.
I'm glad you did it. It made a difference to those people.
Me too.
Do you have any embarrassing stories, or funny stories to end us with?
Not that have to do with airplanes.
But you have one.
I do have a funny story, though.
Oh, I want to hear it.
Okay, I'll just tell you. So Lois has the secret show, right? Every couple months, every 6 months or so, where
Lois
no
is
one,
a member of her family.
Yeah,
Just
we're-
married into her family.
she works at a radio station. They do a thing called the secret show where no one knows who the artist is until you literally get to the show and then they announce it. You can only get tickets through winning or if you're family, I guess. So we try to like hound Lois and we're constantly asking for clues of who this person could be. And I thought I was so clever the other day. I texted her and I said, does this person's last name rhyme with we? Because I was thinking of an artist named Bryce Lee. And so I text that to Lois and she laughs back at me and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so funny. So I'm telling Tanya, I go, this is what I text her. She thought it was so funny. And Tanya goes, well, who's that? And I was like, Bryce Lee. And she goes, his name's Lee Bryce. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. I didn't even have the guy's name right. So I guess Lois was sitting there being like, whose name rhymes with we? Like, she's like, this girl's so dumb. But anyway, and he actually sang the song to Tanya and I's first dance at our wedding. So I mean, like, I should know his name, but I don't. So I just look like an idiot.
It's all country music, right?
Yeah.
Country.
So yeah, it would be a surprise to me even after the concert was over. I still wouldn't know who the person was.
There's only been one show where the whole time I was like, I didn't really know much of his music. But most of the time, you know who they are.
You're like, you're famous? Who are you? Are you the opener? Okay. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thank you.
Fun to get on chat.
If you want to get a hold of us, you can find us at the non-revloungepodcast@gmail.com. Stay safe.
Bye.
Ooh, bye.
Bye, guys.
This has been Non-Rev Lounge. This episode was sponsored by Staff Traveler, which is the #1 app to get your non-rev loads. It is used by over 800,000 people from all airlines the world over and built to make your non-rev trips easy and stress-free. Sign up now for free at stafftraveler.com/non-rev lounge.